Together we'll see who dies and survives, circled around a sacred fire, strumming along with our favorite lyre. Adventure called the quest awaits, your destiny's in the hands of the fates. But never fear, we're all friends here, we'll have your back when danger's near. Come with us through the pages as we unravel a tale for the ages into the Percy-Verse.
Welcome to the Percy-Verse podcast. I'm Alisa.
And I'm Anna. Howl to the moon and prepare your bows, because today we're reading The Titan's Curse, Chapter 2, The Vice Principal Gets a Missile Launcher. In this chapter, Dr. Thorne reveals his true form and hints at his true employer. Bianca and Nico prove themselves to be very brave out of the gate, and we meet our first goddess of the book.
Woo!
Woo!
Like, this book really, we said hit the ground running last time. My lord, like, does this book just
hit the ground
start
sprinting
at 100 miles per hour?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Right in the thick of the action.
Yeah.
Which is, oftentimes the advice you're given nowadays, I think, for books is to do that. But I feel like in the 2000s, it was like more customary to establish the world in a calmer way and then like dive right in. But this one really gives you that we start in the middle of the action kind of feeling.
Yes, it really does.
So we have Percy over here, still not sure what kind of monster Dr. Thorne is. But all he knows is he's fast. That's what he's figured out so far. And then Percy thinks about activating his shield, and then is going to forget for basically the entire rest of the chapter that that's an option once they start fighting. It's just so facepalm. But he gets the sense, because right now, where we left off is Dr. Thorne is basically escorting Percy, Bianca, and Nico out of the Castle-y school building. And Percy's thinking to himself that he can't defend himself and the D'Angelo kids with just one shield.
Right.
Even though it is 4 feet in diameter, which is quite big. But, so that's kind of his challenge here.
Yes, yeah. And I like this little, like, plan that he, like, very quickly devises of, like, pretending, like, leaning into, because he did get impaled, and so, like, leaning into being so in pain, and therefore why he's, like, closing his eyes, as Dr. Thorne is, like, trying to get them to, like, continue moving. I feel like he does, for going in completely
without
unprepared,
a plan.
He does think on his feet very well and very quickly in this moment.
I feel like Percy is very good at getting into sticky situations that are a little bit unnecessary, like kind of being a little headstrong and impulsive. But then once he's in them, he's able to think quickly on his feet and do a better plan than he started with, which is a little bit ADHD of him, I will say. Like, being really impulsive, but then being really good in a crisis. It kind of works out. Yeah. Kind of works out. But, so Percy is trying so hard to focus on Grover. So I kind of love that at the end of Sea of Monsters, Grover's like, hey, I could end our empathy link if you want. But he's like, no, dude, like, we should have this for, BFFs. Yeah. So, like, he then immediately uses it. In like the second chapter of this book. I kind of love that.
Me too.
I think it's really, really cool how quickly it comes into play that he said, no, let's keep it.
Yes, I agree. And I love that he tries it, even though, like, he says, like, I've never tried to contact Grover before. I also don't know if this will work when Grover's awake. Right. But I love that he just goes for it. That he's like, here's a potential tool. No clue if it will work, but it's his really only way to attempt to try and contact anyone, like, from the team who's still going to be in the gym. Because I'm still rewatching Supergirl right now. I was reading that and I was like, man, if only one of them had super hearing, and then Percy could just go, come help me, I've been captured, and like
right. But this kind of works in a similar way, which is really cool.
Does.
And I agree. It is funny because you realize that Grover is the one who sent the messages before. And so this is a moment where Percy's like, okay, I know I have this thing.
Yeah.
And I have not been trained on how to do it. It's like we really needed empathy link orientation, discussion over the summer. So that Percy knew what to do. Because I feel like when he said yes to it, he was like thinking more the way he often does. Oh, like Grover might need help again.
Right.
He wasn't thinking like, oh, I might be in a sticky situation and need help. In which case, no idea how this works. Glad I have it. No idea how it works. So he's just sort of thinking about Grover in his mind. So he's got his eyes closed, like you said. And Dr. Thorne is like, what are you doing? And he's lying about, feeling that he has this pain. And he's just like, hey, Grover, Thorne's kidnapping us. He's a poisonous, spike-throwing maniac. Help! Just like thinking as many things in his head as he possibly can. Yeah. Meanwhile, they're being marched into the woods at Manticore Point. We'll get there later. Yes. It's snowy. We're reminded that it's snowy outside. So because it had been snowing, when they go in, there's a gust of snow. So there's wind that's like really, really cold. He describes it as making him feel like a Percy-sicle, that it's so cold. And Thorne is explaining that he's going to summon their ride at the clearing ahead. And that's where you get the sense that Thorne, that's like the first sort of hint that Thorne is involved in a bigger plot. Yes. Which I also really like, because sometimes when we have issues at schools that Percy is at, it's not always directly related to like a big, scheme against him. Yeah. But here, not only are we thrown right into the plot, we're thrown into the action. We're thrown into action that is directly related to like the big bad, which I think is very cool. Yes. And so Bianca starts to brazenly be like, what ride? What are you talking about? Like, Bianca and Nico are very vocal. They are actively vocal in this chapter, which I really, really love.
Yeah, me too. Especially because I think it really, like, chapter 1, we saw them visually, but we didn't interact with them. And so I love that, like, I mean, Percy did at the end where they're, like, scared, but not actually, like, talking and stuff, to get a sense of really their dynamic. And I love here that it shows that, like, when they're in danger, both of them are going to, like, stand up for each other. Because, like, Nico pipes in when, like, Dr. Thorne tells Bianca, silence, you insufferable girl. He's like, don't talk to my sister that way. And he's, like, 10 years old.
Exactly. We just learned how young they are.
Yes. So I love that, because the, like, strength and depth of their bond is so important to this book, and reverberates immensely and intensely for many, many, many books, like, down the line for Nico. And so I love that we really see that they have such a strong sibling bond, and they have such a deep love for one another, and it's like clear straight out the gate.
Yes. I really love that we get their vibe, and I particularly like that it comes through dialogue with Dr. Thorne. I think it's just such a good example of showing and not telling in a way. Like, if Percy was just having a conversation with them, it wouldn't show their character traits in the same way as them actually interacting with a threat right off the bat. So it's also just really clever writing, I think.
Yeah, I completely agree.
So, yes, Nico's defending Bianca. His voice is quivering, but he has the guts to say it. And Dr. Thorne makes a growling sound that is not human. And it's like, I just love how we always get this. Percy's like, I think you're not human, but I don't know what you are yet. So I'm just going to be vaguely descriptive in this. But it makes the hair stand up on the back of Percy's neck, and he pretends to kind of go along, with Dr. Thorne. Meanwhile, now he's gotten even more wild with his calls to Grover, trying anything that Grover might be interested, including apples and tin cans that he's thinking really intensely about.
He's doing the Grover's greatest hits to try to get his attention.
Yes, absolutely. Surprised he doesn't start singing YMCA in his head. But then he says, get your furry goat behind out here and bring some heavily armed friends. So he will. Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Grover's on the way.
Mm-hmm.
So then it feels really appropriate for the military school that Dr. Thorne says, halt. And that's how they stop. Like, they weren't marching. Whatever. But they are now at a cliff overlooking the sea. So, like, I mean, we're going to get a literal cliffhanger in this book, or in this chapter, rather. But I think this chapter and the opening does a great job of just continuously upping the stakes. Like, every new thing you learn just makes it more and more dangerous and scary. Yeah. So not only are we out in the woods, in the snow, without help, we are with a dangerous monster that we don't know who he is. We are literally at a cliffside overlooking, and this is in like a very cold area. So the water would be ridiculously cold.
Yes.
And Percy can sense that the sea is hundreds of feet below. And we've discussed hundreds of feet cliffs before, actually.
Yes, we have.
In the Sea of Monsters. I think it was like 200 feet. So that's a lot. Like, hundreds more than 200 would be really high up there.
Yeah. It's an incredibly long way to go down, and he, like, can hear the waves churning, he can smell it, he can sense, he can use all of his senses except for his sight to actually tell. Like, visually, he's just seeing mist and darkness, he can't actually see it. I think both because it's nighttime, but also because again, the hundreds of feet below where they currently are.
Yeah.
I do love that. I feel like I always interpreted this as like he is very much more aware of the presence of the sea than maybe like someone else would be, because
absolutely,
son of Poseidon and all of that. But yeah, it's a very terrifying and very precarious position to be in, alone and without any backup clearly on the way.
Yes. And then we have a very interesting moment, I thought, where Percy stumbles as Dr. Thorne pushes them toward the edge, and Bianca catches Percy. And there's this, it's such a little sentence, but it feels like a really big moment where Bianca, in a way, like, takes an action to save Percy. And then later, Nico's going to ask Percy to do the same in return. Yeah. And it's going to go very differently. Yeah. So I just hadn't caught that detail before, but I think it's really interesting that it's in here.
I agree.
And then Bianca, I love this question. Bianca doesn't know she's a demigod yet. Yeah. She doesn't know about the gods or mythology. Yeah. And she just says, "What is he? How do we fight him?" Bianca's so cool.
I know. She's such a badass. Like,
she's such a badass.
Yeah, she's so cool. It's so I'm already heartbroken.
I know.
I'm already
We need to make like a Bianca candle or something.
Yeah. But she's so cool, and it's so impressive for her to be so immediately just like
this is not a human. Yeah. And we should fight this non-human entity that is threatening us. And Percy seems to know more than I do, so I'm going to ask him so we can make a plan. Like, she's 12. Let's remember. Yeah. Like, it's just, I don't know. I'm just so impressed. I'm impressed by her and by Nico, but she just stands out so much in this chapter already.
She really does. Yeah.
And then Percy's just like, I'm working on it. I'm like, okay. He's like, I'm yelling tin cans in my head as loud as I can. Yeah. Don't worry, it does make sense. It will help. And Nico is just like, I'm scared. And that's fair. Yeah. He's 10. And he's fiddling with a little metal toy soldier of some kind. And Dr. Thorne has them stop talking. And he pulls out, Percy's afraid, jump scared, that it's a switchblade, but it's just a phone. And he's just checking in, calling the people that are coming. And he says that the package is ready to deliver. It's very, like, there's so much stuff about this opening that has also been very spy. Like, we've talked about this in the last chapter.
I was about to say...
But the package, it feels very spy.
It feels very Mission Impossible. Like, it feels... I think also the, like, boarding school in the middle of nowhere. Also, we talked about Alex Rider, like,
it's giving Alex Rider still.
It's very Alex Rider. It's very Mission Impossible. It has a very real spy, like action adventure. Feel to it. That's a different tone than like
Alex Rider. I think goes to a private school in the mountains in the snow. Yes. Is that Point Blank?
Yep.
It's giving Alex Rider so strong.
Yes.
So he's on this phone and he's coordinating, and Percy is, contemplating, like, the sea is below, there is water. Mm-hmm. Dr. Thorne clocks this and is like, by all means, son of Poseidon, jump. There is the sea. Save yourself, which is kind of funny because later he's going to be like, but if you did, I would kill you.
Right. I do want to make a quick note of the fact that it is very new and very different for a monster to be using. Love the wording of a mobile phone, because again, we are in the early 2000s.
A mobile phone, we are.
But
it flips.
Yes, yeah, maybe even a Nokia without even a flip. Just
Yeah.
But that this is the first time we've ever seen that happening, and Percy takes that in as feeling way too modern and way too creepy and new. So we are getting all of these indications that Dr. Thorne and who he's related to, this is new and different. This is not business as usual when it comes to monsters pursuing demigods.
Absolutely, yeah. Usually they're not also using technology and part of a bigger plot. But in this moment, Bianca also catches that Dr. Thorne said son of Poseidon.
Yep.
And she's like, what did he call you? And Percy's again, that he'll explain later. And he's just like, Grover! He's still yelling in his mind. Yeah. Because Bianca's like, you have a plan, right? There's a plan.
Right. He's like, Grover, get here now!
It's still, I feel like, is, what I think I referenced last time is I'm Luke Skywalker. I'm here to rescue you. It's really still that, where it's I don't think you're as powerful in this rescue as I wish you were. From Bianca and Nico's perspective. Then Percy, I don't even know if this would work, but he's trying to imagine, if he jumps with both kids into the sea, could he save them? And I'm like, I don't know. Do you think that could work?
Yeah, I mean, if he kind of cushioned their fall and, he says, if Poseidon was, down to help him out, it's not something that he has actually done himself before. He has fallen solo from great height and survived with Poseidon's help, but he hasn't taken passengers along with him for the ride. So I think it would be a real stretch for where he's at currently. I think especially because he also wouldn't visually be able to see the sea until he's real close to it to even I don't know, try to
are there
bring
rocks
up
sticking out or there's a lot of unknown variables.
Because I'm maybe he could try to kind of make a little arm or something, or a little slide out of the water, kind of thinking Moana, where she's carried by the water, the way that
Moana. Or it's also making me think of Miss Marvel. No, is that her name? With the hand power.
Yep.
Kind of just being able to morph some kind of material into some kind of shape.
Yes, and kind of maybe make little landing pads, but I feel maybe that would require, for where he's at now, for the precision of it, I feel he'd need more visual of where are we in relation to the sea.
Sophisticated.
Yeah, and if we're on a cliff, it's gotta be really rocky, especially
it would
down
have to be
along the shoreline
rocky,
and everything.
And also I don't know that the visibility would improve that much when you're falling because it's still nighttime. It's still dark out. It's a ambitious concept. I am curious though for us to still track. So we were talking in Sea of Monsters that he does fall from great height in each of those books. So it's interesting he doesn't here actually.
Yes,
but I am still can't remember if he does in this book, because I know that he will in Labyrinth. So I want to see if I'm still looking out for the person falls from a great height or gets thrown violently far away from something. I can't remember if maybe it does happen in the trash fields potentially, but we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. But that's where Dr. Thorne is like, I would kill you before you even reach the water. So it's like, I don't know. It's kind of silly. And then he's like, you don't get it. You don't know who I am, do you? Like,
yeah.
You're missing a big piece of the puzzle. And he's just like playing with them, like toying with them now, because he sends another missile right next to his ear, Percy's ear. And like Percy can see that something had gotten up behind him, almost like a catapult, but more flexible, like a tail.
He's getting close. He's getting
close. Yes. And Thorne is like, unfortunately, you are wanted alive if possible. Otherwise, you would already be dead. And it's so funny because Kronos, like, Luke was straight up going to kill Percy last book.
Yeah.
And I was just watching a slight digression. I'll circle right back. I was just watching a Star Wars sequels, like, discussion YouTube video.
Yeah.
And one of the things they were talking about is that, like, Palpatine goes back and forth. Like, first he wants Rey alive, then he wants Rey dead, then alive, then dead. Like, back and forth in, like, Rise of Skywalker. And it's just so funny that, like, big bad sometimes can't make up their minds about what they want to do with the heroes.
Right.
Like, do you want me dead or alive? I really don't know. Like, you just keep changing your mind on this. Which I think is really interesting because now he has Talia in play. So does he need Percy, right? Like, hasn't he given up on Percy? I don't know.
Well, and my question was, because Dr. Thorne was clearly there to get Bianca and Nico, like, are they already aware of who Bianca and Nico's dad is?
Right.
Like,
I know,
do
I
they
have
already
that question
possess
too.
that knowledge or not? I don't know.
Because
I think
if they
do...
Because he talks about Nico joining their army.
But I didn't know. I wasn't sure. It felt like maybe the thing that made me feel like he could was when he says, "You should be honored, my boy." Like, to me, that feels like I'm recognizing something more in you than just like
maybe
your, regular level demigod.
Yeah, we'll go through the text, but I do think I do think I got the sense that, like, Percy was being treated a little bit differently than Nico and Bianca. But okay, so yes, he says, you are wanted alive, otherwise you would be dead. And this is where Bianca gives us a little bit of, like, tearful exposition that, like, who would want us? You won't get a ransom. We don't have any family. We have no one but each other. So she and Nico have been on their own. And for demigods, that's not particularly unusual, but we are going to learn that they have very unusual circumstances.
Yes.
Later, which is one of the fun parts of this book. So he says, Dr. Thorne explains that they'll be meeting the employer soon, and then they'll have a brand new family. And that kind of cues Percy. And Percy's like, you work for Luke. And Dr. Thorne's mouth twists in distaste, which I think is very interesting at Luke's name.
I know. Well, because this is like, you know, we'll get the reveal of the general being, oh my gosh, why am I, Atlas. Sorry, but that, like, fully escaped. Right. Okay, let me say that again.
Yeah.
So we're gonna get the reveal of who the general is, like, later on in this book, but it feels here like there are divisions.
Yes.
Like Dr. Thorne is, like, on team the general.
Yeah.
Not necessarily, like, psyched
Luke.
to be on team Luke specifically.
Yep.
Though they all kind of live under this larger umbrella of Team Kronos. So I think it's interesting because it seems like it's showing that there's not, like, Kronos he's bringing together, like, different factions almost.
Right.
And they're not all melding together successfully.
It would make sense to me that monsters wouldn't be super psyched to be following a human, like a demigod.
Totally. Yeah.
Given the history of demigods and monsters. But that they might be more open to following a titan who is promising them specific things.
Right.
You know, that they can have. So yes, I think it does make sense. And I think it's good to reveal, like, that there are factions, right? Because, like, we're also hearing that there's division within the demigods. Like, demigods are splitting off and joining Kronos. So that's part of war is, you know, you don't usually have cut and dry, you know, everyone's allegiance is here and here, and then there's no infighting. Like, I think fighting begets fighting. So war has a lot of infighting a lot of the time within their conflicts. And so Dr. Thorne, he's like, you have no idea what's happening, Percy Jackson. Like, he's just very much like, you silly demigod. That's what I'm saying. Like, I think he has like feelings about demigods. And he says he'll let the general enlighten Percy, and that Percy is going to do him a great service tonight. And so initially it seems that the plan is for Percy to hold up the world.
But is
that what that means? That's what I was thinking. That might be what that means.
It might be what that means. I honestly wasn't sure if that was their plan, if like the helicopter was going to take them to, like,
because that's where Annabeth's about to go.
Right, yeah.
So in my mind, it's like a way to get Percy, because Kronos is a chess player, a way to get Percy out of play, and get Atlas into play, but not kill Percy, is to have him replace Atlas. And
but at this stage, I'm curious. I wonder if it is currently Luke right now, or once Dr. Thorne only got Annabeth, where they like, let's swap, you know, like, because Annabeth takes over from Luke, not Atlas.
But I know, but Annabeth takes over from Luke because Luke pretends to be really, like, it just feels like that was the ploy to get Annabeth to do it.
Absolutely.
Which wouldn't have worked on Percy.
But it, like, there's a world in which I think it still could have, because I think if Luke was like, I'm going to fall under this weight, and they're going to reunite, and it's going to end the world because the sky and the earth can't touch, otherwise, like, it's over for Earth. I could see them convincing Percy to take over from the sense of, like, the world's going to end right here, right now. Like, none of us will survive this.
But either way, whether Atlas or Luke is currently under, like, holding up the weight of the earth, this idea of doing Percy doing the general a great service, I'm assuming is that their plan was to have him hold up the weight of the earth.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And in that wording, doing him a great service, it strikes me as like they were going to force Percy to take it on from Atlas. But maybe not. The Luke plan feels very Annabeth specific, but maybe it wasn't.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know how they would have done it apart from just like via brute force.
Because I can't remember if you have to do it. No, you don't have to do it voluntarily because they trick Atlas into it. That's what I'm saying. Like, I think they could have just like dragged Percy to it.
True. And then just had Atlas pop out. And
probably. That's true. And then in order to not get crushed, and he would probably have been told the stakes, like you said.
Right.
You know, like they would end Earth.
Yeah.
I just thought that was like, it's cool that in chapter 2 we're like getting told a big part of the plan.
Yes.
And like our new, you know, lesser big bad, like big bad that's coming in.
And like where this book is going to end.
Yes.
Like at.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. And we're kind of getting told that even in chapter 1 with the whole San Francisco thing.
Yes. Yep.
It's great. Like we're just getting laid out like the whole ending in little pieces here, which is delightful. So Percy ends up accidentally taking on Dr. Thorne's French accent, which is just a really funny little note that's kind of it's like random. But he's asking who the general is, which, like you pointed out last chapter, Percy at least is asking the questions. No one's answering his questions, but he's asking the questions, which we appreciate. And then in that moment, we get helicopter blades coming in, and that is supposed to be their ride. And then, yes, he tells Nico, when he asks, "Where are you taking us? You should be honored, my boy. You will have the opportunity to join a great army, just like that silly game you play with cards and dolls." And so that's where he's speaking about like the myth of magic. And that's where my reading is like, they don't know Nico and Bianca's parentage because they're just going to like have him join the army, you know, which is like not the same as being the chosen one, I feel like, but maybe they could still know with the great honor part. And then Nico like fights back.
He's like, mytho magic is real.
Yes, my figurines are really important. You can take your great army and... And again, it's like these two kids are so young and they're so, like, they're feisty and brave, and I love it. I love it for them. And Dr. Thorne is basically like, you're going to change your mind about joining us, and if you don't, we will feed you to whatever monster is hungry that day.
Yeah.
And then he says, the great stirring is underway. So that gives us, and those are capitalized, great and stirring. Yes.
Which I know it means like awakening, but my brain just was imagining a giant pot being stirred.
That's so funny.
I just couldn't.
Monsters
I think
are just like coming out of the pot.
Yeah. Like, you know, because he's like goes on to say that because Percy's like, the what, and he like clarifies that it's the most powerful monsters are now waking, and that's what it means. But the whole time my brain was like, it's a big pot and it's being stirred.
Yeah. Kind of reminds me of like the opening of Hercules, where like they're explaining the Titan battle, and they just sort of like rise, and then they like march on, you know, which we'll get to. But it kind of, it's like they're just like rising, which is, you know, it's interesting. The mechanics of like monsters turning to dust and then reforming is a really interesting process that happens. But something about this moment, Kronos, all the things, is causing monsters to come forth. It you know, Gia has a similar effect in some ways on. First of all, they have the gates of the underworld are open, but also you know, you've got like the giants and like this kind of like reforming kind of thing. So it seems to be that like whenever there's an evil plan against Olympus, the monsters tend to like form and come back in ways that they haven't before. And Bianca logically is like, okay, he's completely nuts. Like, and then Percy, to help matters, is like, we have to jump off the cliff into the sea, which like these kids cannot even like see, right, with their eyes,
right?
And which they've just been warned they'll just be killed if they do that. And then she's like, oh, super idea, you're completely nuts too. And then Percy doesn't get a chance to argue with her because an invisible force slams into Percy.
Yep, and that invisible force is the one and only Annabeth in her invisibility cap, taking advantage of the surprise by knocking Percy, Bianca, and Nico to the ground. Dr. Thorne is surprised, so he, like, in an instant launches a volley of missiles, but they miss all of them in the surprise. And we enter the big battle of this chapter. So let's break down everything that happens here.
Break it down for us.
So, Dr. Thorne is surprised, focused on Percy, Bianca, Nico, and Annabeth. Talia and Grover use that surprise to attack him from behind. And this is when we see Talia for the first time in her like full battle readiness. And so she's got this huge spear that expands from a collapsible mace container, which is like that. I forgot that fact about the spear.
That too. I think it's so cool.
And then she's got her shield. Oh, I forgot to look up the pronunciation of this. I always pronounce it. Oh, it's Aegis? Okay.
I believe.
I've always pronounced it Aegis.
That does not surprise me. Like haggis? Yeah, I think it's Aegis, but I could be wrong.
So she's got her huge...
correct us in the comments.
Shield, which is a replica of Zeus's shield, like exactly, that was a gift to Zeus from Athena, and it's as equally as terrifying as his, and it's sporting Medusa's head in the center, and it makes Dr. Thorne go like for a second.
Yeah, because it doesn't turn you into stone, but it makes you like supremely afraid, primally afraid.
Yes. Yep, it does. And so as Talia launches her attack, Dr. Thorne like begins his transformation. It's not full, but a little bit. We see that his hand turns into a big orange paw, and it swats at her, and her shield takes the brunt of it and protects her from getting completely sliced up from him. And this is the point at which Percy finally gets a good look at Dr. Thorne's tail, because he launches another volley at Talia, and Percy's able to see that it's scorpion-like and bristled with spikes at the tip. So if Percy had a better kind of like...
if he played Mythomagic or researched like Annabeth, he would know who this creature is.
Yes, he would know with full confirmation Dr. Thorne is a manticore, but he's not there yet, and he won't actually ever get there. It will be Annabeth who identifies.
Yeah, and Percy's not really a research guy.
No, he's not.
We don't expect him to know things.
I'll just go in with my sword.
And... we need an audience insert who doesn't know everything.
Yes, absolutely.
So it's useful narratively.
Yeah. And then it's also fun as the audience. If you don't know, you learn. But if you do know, you recognize all the hints and you know it before Percy does. And that's fun too.
Exactly. Yep.
And so Dr. Thorne launches that other volley. Talia's shield deflects the spikes, but it becomes very clear that shields are protecting them, but the shields are taking damage from these spikes.
And they're getting knocked over anyway, and
they're no joke. And so then Grover steps in and he starts playing his reed pipes to get the grass and the weeds to wrap around Dr. Thorne's leg, entangling him. And he does kind of ensnare him for a little bit. But this is when Dr. Thorne fully completes his transformation into his true form, one of a manticore. So the description is that his face is still human, but his body is that of a lion, and then he's got his leathery, spiky tail. And I kind of wanted to note,
of course,
it's always leathery. A monster always has some body part that is leathery in some way. I think we've gotten that with pretty much everybody.
Yep. It's always. It's a rule.
And now that Dr. Thorne is in his full monster form, Nico is I know who you are. And so he rattles off the Mythomagic stats. So the Manticore is 3,000 attack power and +5 to saving throw stats. Which it was the first time I fully realized that Mythomagic feels kind of a combo of Magic the Gathering in D&D, because it's card based, and there's attack power stuff, but then saving throws. I was that's D&D, not Magic the Gathering.
I think it is kind of a mashup of the two. It feels like it. Yeah,
I would love for it to be actually made. I would love for a game maker to make Mythomagic,
a really good working version of it. That would be so fun.
Yeah, that would be a lot of fun. And so at this point, Dr. Thorne has freed himself from the weeds, and Annabeth, her role in this fight really is just protector, mostly, because after he's freed himself, Annabeth gets Bianca and Nico down once more. She's her role is hit the deck,
stay down, guys. There are flying missiles.
Yes, and Percy finally remembers that he has a shield on his person.
My dude, the fight started 3 pages ago.
And at the very last second, he opens it and he protects all 4 of them as a volley comes at them and hits and dents the metal. And Percy has a moment of being
again, kind of is my point earlier when he's I can't possibly protect all of us with my 4-foot diameter shield. And then he just does. And it's actually 5 of them, and or 4 instead of 3. You could have, actually.
Yeah.
Not that he could have defeated Dr. Thorne. It's just funny that he literally thinks that, and then it is what he does later.
Yes. Yeah. But it dents the metal, and he has a moment of being very sad at the beautiful shield that Tyson made him being dented.
It's his first real world use of the shield, and he's just so I used your shield once, and it broke. It's broken now.
What Tyson said at the end of Seed Monsters, it will save your life. Yep. Chapter 2, we're seeing it save his life already, fully.
Saves 4 people's lives at the same time.
Yes. So then in this next moment, Talia charges at Dr. Thorne, but in the same moment that the helicopter now fully appears from the mist, and Percy sees that it's being flown by mortals, and so he has this moment of like wondering, how is that possible? How are mortals working with monsters? So it's like another clue of this is different. Like, this is not like the other times. This is not like the previous two books.
I love how he's like, it had to be mortals. Demigods can't fly helicopters. Right. Like, I don't know. And like Artemis too later is like, yep, that was mortals. And
right.
F them. Like,
yeah, no, I know.
It's kind of wild. But
is.
One thing that's interesting right before that happens is that Dr. Thorne says yield. And Talia's like, never. And I think it's really interesting. Like, he clearly has these orders of like, capture all of them. That he is like, stop fighting me, you know, because it's just unusual for a monster. And I think that's also like, monsters have different levels of communication abilities, right? Like, the Minotaur wasn't like having a conversation with Percy, you know? So this is a type of monster that's like able to be super, super strategic and is like, hey, y'all gotta stop fighting me. I have to take you somewhere.
No fighting.
There's a helicopter waiting, you know?
Yeah. But said helicopter, because it comes out of the mist as Talia is like charging Dr. Thorne in this moment, the headlights like just go immediately in her eyes and like fully like blind her vision for a moment. And in that like kind of momentary, like Talia can't see anything at all, Dr. Thorne is able to swat her away, sending her shield and spear off in different directions, like effectively kind of taking Talia out of the fight and leaving her in a really vulnerable position too, because Percy has to jump in and with his shield protect Talia from a spike that otherwise would have hit her chest,
which is really impressive. And I will say, it's not his shield actually. I think it says, I parried away a spike.
Oh, yes,
and I think parrying is with a sword.
Yes, thank you.
So I just want to like say, Percy, it's kind of like in a video game, kind of, where you experience a very powerful new opponent you've never seen before. But then you start to learn their moves a little bit, and then you can kind of like deflect them in a way. And for Percy, from just the last few minutes to go from, you know, not knowing what this creature is to like using his sword to like, these are fast spike missiles, right? Like, he parries it with his sword and then he raises the shield. I just think that's really impressive and just like a very, very key moment of the battle for Percy, you know, to help Talia here.
Yeah, I completely agree. And after doing so, they're in this, like, there's a moment of feeling like all is lost because Percy realizes that they are trapped between Dr. Thorne on one side and the helicopter on the other. And it feels like there's no way out until a clear, piercing sound, the call of a hunting horn being blown, is heard. And this is really the first time we see Dr. Thorne, like, scared in this fight. He's been like confident in control of all of it, but he freezes, clearly in shock at hearing that, and immediately this glowing silver arrow sprouts from his shoulder. He wails in agony. He unleashes spikes, but they're met, this is so cool, they're met with a volley of arrows that intercept the spikes midair, slicing them in two. And Percy is this moment of being like, that, I can't have seen that, right?
That was just like, my imagination.
Apollo,
that couldn't have happened.
Like, the kids of Apollo can't even do that. Like, there's no way that's real.
This Little is so, like, Robin Hood feelings right now.
Totally.
Because, you know, it's like he splits the arrow. But I feel like I love the description whenever an arrow sprouts from somewhere, because it like tells you how fast it was to have done that. So I also found this it's such a cool description, like entry point to the hunters, but it just is so visual for me, like such an image to have an arrow sprout from somewhere. And I think it's really interesting too that Dr. Thorne, before that even happens, like senses the hunters. Like, he knows who they are, because he says, no, it cannot be. So I'm just like, I want to know their history.
He knows that horn. He knows the sound of that horn.
Them. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And so in the moment of Dr. Thorne having been hit with this arrow, Percy's like, okay, now's my chance. Let me attack. But Dr. Thorne isn't actually as weak as he looks. He easily dodges Percy and knocks Percy aside. And then a dozen girls appear from the woods, ranging, according to Percy's eye, from like 10 to 14 years old. And Annabeth is psyched. She's like, the hunters! Yay! And Talia is annoyed.
Yeah.
She is not happy about it at all.
Which is such a good dynamic to start out with for where we're headed.
Yes. And one who looks older steps forward. She has coppery colored skin and a silver circlet braided into her hair, and she asks permission to kill. And Dr. Thorne, I love that we get Dr. Thorne saying, like, no, this is direct interference.
Right.
It's against ancient laws. That's all hinting to, like, who the hunters are and who is with them. Yeah, that
should have hinted to Percy that there is a goddess on board, but whatever.
Yeah. But I think he's still in, like, battle mode.
Oh, totally. Yes. Like, no, it's terrifying.
Yeah, processing information mode.
Absolutely.
But then one who looks 12 or 13 with auburn hair gathered into a ponytail and these strange silvery yellow eyes colored like the moon, says that the hunting of all wild beasts is within her sphere and he is a wild beast. And so she grants the girl who asked, she says, like, gives her permission. And then that's when Dr. Thorne says that if he cannot have them alive, he will have them dead.
Yeah.
And he lunges at Percy and Talia because they are weak and dazed and, like, the easiest to get at. And Annabeth immediately charges. The hunters, like, tell her to stop. They're like, no. But she leaps onto Dr. Thorne's back, drives her knife into his mane. The hunters are ordered to fire, and as their arrows fly, they catch Dr. Thorne in the neck and in the chest. He staggers backwards, is like, it's not the end. The hunters, you will pay.
Yeah.
And then he leaps over the cliff with Annabeth still on his back.
What?
And the last little bit of, like, fighting that kind of takes place is as Dr. Thorne leaps. This is when the helicopter kind of comes into play, shooting at them. Like, we don't know what type of guns, but they're being fired at with guns. And that's when the girl with auburn hair, yet to be named, says that mortals are not allowed to witness her hunt. And she thrusts out a hand, and the helicopter, the black metal dissolves into a flock of birds, ravens specifically, which scatter into the night. Yes.
Do you think that the humans are also now ravens? Like, there's just two mortals flying around as ravens now?
I mean, they have to be, right?
Right?
Yeah.
It's like the whole... she didn't, like, actually kill them?
Yeah, no. I was assuming that, like... that these are the mortals. I guess
plus
maybe...
the helicopter. Because it seems like she's turning, like... It's a flock of ravens, so it's like... It seems like she somehow can turn, like... inanimate objects into animate objects too, which is really
potentially
impressive.
Unless there's like a dozen soldiers in the helicopter.
Maybe it's a really big helicopter.
Yeah,
that's true. It could be. That's wild though.
Then we get our first interaction between Zoe
yes we do,
and Talia. And Talia, Zoe acknowledges Talia saying you with distaste, and Talia's like, Zoe Nightshade. So there's history, there's tension. We're not fans of one another.
Very much history. Like perfect timing as usual. Like we have Zoe and Talia very tense right off the bat.
Yes, incredibly tense. And Zoe scans everybody and gives the report of like, it's 4 half-bloods and a camper and a satyr, my lady. And the still unnamed younger girl is like, yes, some of Chiron's campers. And Percy he's just like, Annabeth, we have to let's go save her. We have to go, like, him now through, like, the end of this little bit of the chapter is just like, we must go save Annabeth right now. Yes. And the auburn-haired girl is like, I'm sorry, Percy Jackson, but your friend is beyond help. she tells him that he's in no condition to go hurl himself off a cliff, and he's like, let me go, and says, who do you think you are? And then Zoe steps forward, and it says, as if to smack me. So Zoe
she's really angry. But she is like always like this. Like, she is so ride or die for Artemis, like so intensely.
Yes. But the part that I find, I think, maybe most fascinating in this whole chapter is, like, this is one of our first times experiencing, like, a god being chill at, like, someone being angry. And, like, because Artemis replies with, no, I sense no disrespect. He's simply distraught. He does not understand. And then she looks at Percy, her eyes colder and brighter than the winter moon, and says, I am Artemis, goddess of the hunt. Yeah. Which is where this chapter ends. But, like, it is so, that really struck me this time, because I think especially, like, all of our god interactions in the first two books, apart from Hermes was a little less on that, like, I must be respected and feared, you know, but Poseidon and Zeus have zero chill, Ares has zero chill, like,
we learn Athena has zero chill.
Yeah, Athena has zero chill. Hermes, I don't think, you know, would have taken super kindly if Percy had, like, gone off on him.
Probably not.
But it really just stood out to me that in this moment, Artemis is just like, he's just really upset and he does not know who I am, and that's okay. It's just funny because she's so formal and she is so serious. Is very formal, but it was, I think, her understanding was what really surprised me in terms of just like a god being understanding. What?
Absolutely. For being a generally, kind of formal and cold in a way, like kind of goddess, I think that she has, like, she's one of the most empathetic goddesses, though.
Yes.
Or gods and goddesses. Which, I don't know, I guess, like, being the leader of a whole group of women, like, probably doesn't surprise me that that's the case. But, yeah, it is very interesting how that's, like, it almost feels like things that are not usually true about the same person, but I think it's kind of cool that they can be true about her at the same time.
Yeah. I was just wondering, like, because I was thinking about, like, all of the modern things that Artemis, like, might be associated with, and I was like, I wonder if, like, Artemis was, like, at Lilith Fair, you know, like, if she, like, like, you know, it's not, like, the woods and the wild, but I was like, I feel like I could see her, like, stopping, hanging out, you know, for a night at Lilith Fair.
Totally. Who do you think would be at, like, Burning Man?
Oh.
Because I feel like Apollo could maybe go to Burning Man.
Yeah, I feel like Apollo's going to Burning Man for sure.
Like, that's each of their, like,
vibes. Yeah.
Yeah. I wanted to just emphasize the descriptions we get of, like, clues about Artemis before we even know who she is. Let me find them, because we get yellow moon eyes.
The silvery yellow moon eyes. Yep,
we get silvery yellow moon eyes, and then we get her eyes colder and brighter than the winter moon. So it is cool. Like, we get these associations with the moon, but also it's, like, always about her eyes, and, you know, we have the tracking eyes. So just to add to our eyes tracking, and then she describes herself as goddess of the hunt, though. So it's, like, also, you know, this is her. She's associated with the moon, but she is goddess of the hunt. Yeah. And, it's very exciting. It's very exciting to have the hunters in play in the book. I can't wait. It's, I think, one of the best threads through this storyline.
Oh, yeah.
They cause so much havoc in the interpersonal relationships of the characters. Yes. So I also like that right off the bat, there's this, like, tension of who already likes them and doesn't like them to begin with. And also because Talia's, like, just got back into the, you know, world. And we don't know very much about her. It's fun to add this intriguing interpersonal conflict for her. Like, pretty much straight away that clearly has backstory that we haven't experienced before. So I really like that too.
Yeah, me too. And the last thing I'll say about just how interesting I find Artemis is, like, you know, the age range we get Percy's read on the hunters is like 10 to 14. And Zoe, he says, like, looks about 14. But he's like, Artemis, before he knows who Artemis is, he's like, this maybe 12 or 13-year-old. So, like, she does not make herself appear to be the oldest in the group as well, which... So she's like, just like really... Yeah, she could. She could make herself 15, that is really and be like, I am the oldest. Right, you know, right. And that it's like, it's Zoe who steps out first. Like, she's the first one to step forward, like, make herself known and say some things. So Artemis just really, like, subverts my expectations for, like, how interactions with the gods have gone in previous books. Artemis really subverts them. And I think that's really cool.
I like that a lot. I think that's a really good point. And for being a goddess of the hunt, you would think she'd be more in charge in that way. And, like, because hunting is kind of like warfare, you know, where, like, Ares would never, could never. Ares couldn't even get along with this many people at once anyway. No. But much less have his lieutenant be, like, the spokesperson or the kind of forward-facing person. So, I agree. I think it is really interesting, and I'm so glad that they come back in Heroes of Olympus too. That is...
Oh, yeah.
So exciting.
Also, this really then made me had a question about, like, because Artemis's response to Dr. Thorne being like, no, this is against ancient laws. She's like, no, you are a wild beast. So I'm like, which monsters are wild beasts?
Oh, yeah. I did underline
that she can hunt versus which are not. Because she does, like, we will have her later on in the series be, like, specifically hunting. Right. You know, like, creatures who are posing a larger threat. And so it really made me want to understand, like, because all of the monsters we've encountered, or most of them, like, is it only the ones that are, like, part animal and part something else? Like, would the Minotaur be, like, a wild beast? Or, like, would Echidna... I would
guess any monster would be I would guess that she's equating, from the reading, it looks like she's equating wild beasts and monsters. Like, anyone who could be turned into dust.
Sure. But then it does pose this interesting thing of, like, so is that, like, a loophole where, like, the hunters, like, could, if they were, I know that they have, like, their kind of missions, and so their missions aren't always going to, like, overlap with that of the demigods. This one does. Right. In this particular instance. But yeah, it feels almost then in that case like it's a little bit of a loophole where demigods could get some help from a god, and in where, like, normally they're not allowed
I think it is a loophole. I think that's what we're hearing. I think the check on that loophole, like the thing that makes it not be something that happens all the time, is that the hunters are, like you said, really focused on their own missions and goals, and they're not going to be, like, co-opted by another group.
Right.
They're very, like, insular.
Yes.
Yes. In a lot of ways. But I think we must address, before we close here, that Annabeth is missing and Percy is distraught. Yes, and this is Nico and Bianca's first, like, experience in the magical world, which would be scary, a little bit traumatizing. Like, they just got pulled out of the Lotus Casino to go to school. And then they're at school for however long. I don't know if they started at the beginning of the year. Grover's there, and then they have this terrifying experience. And at the same time, they see a lot of demigods be heroic. They see the hunters come in, and it makes sense that, like, Bianca's going to really latch on to the hunters and feel like they saved the day, you know? And there's a lot of really interesting pros to being in the hunters as well. That are going to be appealing. So that what a wild start to the magical world for them. And Annabeth has bravely tried to protect her friends, and in so doing is, like, missing in action.
Yes. And kind of, like, presumed dead, not fully, but, like, you know, we'll get into that. But I do think you were saying earlier in this episode, like, all the things that are indications of, like, stakes being raised. And I feel like chapter 2 ending with one of our main three of Percy, Annabeth, and Grover is now missing in action, and we don't know whether she...
cliffhanger. Off a cliff.
Yeah, off a cliff. Yeah. Did she survive? We have no clue if she did. Where is she? Like, all of those questions. I think it's a great way of raising the stakes, and I think of showing that like this book is going to be different, and it's also going to be more emotionally intense, and I think it's good to have that in the book where we are going to have our first loss of a like semi-primary character. I think this sets the stage well for that emotionally, so that it doesn't feel like tonally out of nowhere from like, wait, but I'm reading these fun books about demigods. I think it does a good job at the beginning of setting up that like this is going to be a lot more intense and a lot more serious.
I agree. This is really the book that shifts that shifts the stakes, that shifts what can happen. Our understanding of how successful and safe these demigods can be out in the world on quests, and we're also we'll get to the quests. There are things, but yes, I think that is a good point, that taking Annabeth out of play in this very like unknown, is she alive way sets that up really well in this chapter. But it's a huge deal, and
it is.
Percy, I mean, for Percy, this is I can't even imagine, how you'd be feeling as Percy right now. So
worst case scenario, absolute worst case scenario for Percy. In this moment for sure. And he's kind of, he's like reliving the summer, but more intensified, because like in the summer it was Tyson that this happened to, but that was a newer, more fraught, less like, you are not only one of my best friends, but someone that like I have feelings. That's a good point. That was just a few
months ago. Like he just keeps losing people to like mysterious voids.
Yes, that's really which hard. For like a guy whose fatal flaw is I will leave no man behind. Yeah, it's really rough.
That's really, really rough. Next book he'll leave everyone else to go to a void. But he is. It's interesting because of the three of them, Annabeth is the only one who like neither of them could somehow innately know if she's alive or not. Whereas like Percy and Grover would know. But thinking about the way that they're in this weird triangle of protection, Annabeth is like the least protected in that triangle of protection. She is. So that just is the thrilling, absolutely thrilling chapter 2 of Titan's Curse. Hit the ground sprinting, already huge battle sequence. One of our main characters is missing in action. We've met a goddess. We have a whole new group of people to introduce ourselves to. So we will continue to learn more about the hunters and Bianca and Nico when we read Titan's Curse, Chapter 3, Bianca D'Angelo Makes a Choice. Bye.
Bye.